Welcome to Into the Darkness, where we dive into the most spine-chilling and captivating true crime stories from around the world. Each week, we take you deep into the heart of the darkest mysteries and the most notorious criminals. Our detailed narratives, gripping voiceovers, and vivid visuals will immerse you in the thrilling world of true crime. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community of crime enthusiasts. Get ready to uncover the truth, face the terror, and remember, every story hides a shadow. Now, let's dive into the darkness.
Shadows over the mangroves. Coastal Florida, 1984. The sun was setting over the horizon, casting long shadows over the tangled web of mangroves that lined the coast. The air was thick with humidity, the kind that clung to your skin and made it hard to breathe. Officer Daniel "Danny" Reyes, a seasoned water patrol officer, steered his boat through the narrow channels, the hum of the engine a constant companion in the encroaching darkness. He had patrolled these waters for years, knew every twist and turn, every hidden cove, but tonight something felt different, an uneasy feeling gnawing at his gut. The Everglades spread out like a vast green maze, a mix of saltwater and freshwater marshes teeming with life. The air buzzed with the sounds of insects and distant bird calls, the smell of brackish water hanging heavy. Danny had always loved this place, the way it felt both ancient and alive, a world unto itself. But tonight, the beauty of the mangroves seemed to hold a sinister edge, every shadow a potential threat. Danny had always prided himself on his keen instincts, and tonight they led him to a peculiar sight, a boat, half submerged and abandoned, nestled deep within the mangroves. The vessel was nondescript, its once vibrant paint now peeling and faded, a ghost of its former self. As he approached, Danny's flashlight revealed the true nature of the find. The boat was filled with packages, bricks wrapped tightly in plastic. Drugs, he realized with a sinking feeling. And then he saw it. Hidden beneath a tarp, a large duffel bag overflowing with cash. Danny's heart raced as he counted the bundles, tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Years of policing had taught him the risks and rewards of a find like this. He knew the right thing to do, the thing he'd been trained to do. But the sight of the money, more than he'd ever seen in his life, sparked something inside him. Temptation, a whisper in the back of his mind, promising a way out of his mundane, paycheck-to-paycheck existence. He made a fateful decision. He would keep the money and turn in the drugs, hoping the authorities would believe it was all he found. Back in his small, cluttered apartment in the heart of Miami, Danny stashed the money in a safe place, feeling a mix of exhilaration and fear. He couldn't shake the image of the cash, the life-changing potential that held. But with each passing hour, paranoia set in. What if someone knew? What if someone was watching? He started noticing things he hadn't before. The same car parked across the street for hours, unfamiliar faces in the neighborhood, a sense of being followed. One evening, as he returned home, he found a bloodied photo of his wife, Maria, on the kitchen table. The message was clear. They knew who he was, and they would come for his family if he didn't comply. Desperation set in. He moved his wife and young daughter, Sophia, to a secluded cabin near the Everglades, hoping to keep them safe. It didn't take long for word to spread. The drugs were a significant bust, but the cartel wouldn't let such a loss go unpunished. Within days, whispers of a missing fortune reached the ears of El Tiburon, the feared leader of a Cuban drug cartel with a reputation for ruthless efficiency. El Tiburon, a man known for his cold, calculating nature, was not one to forgive or forget. His icy gaze and iron grip on the cartel made him a legend in the underworld. El Tiburon operated from a heavily guarded estate on the outskirts of Havana, a palatial fortress surrounded by high walls and armed guards. Inside, he orchestrated his operations with military precision, his lieutenants carrying out his orders without question. When the news of the missing money reached him, he summoned his most trusted enforcer, Raul El Sombra Martinez. Raul was a ghost, a shadow in the night who moved with deadly efficiency. He had a reputation for leaving no witnesses, his methods brutal and effective. El Tiburon gave him one directive: find the money and make an example of anyone who stood in his way. Danny's life began to unravel almost immediately. What had seemed like a dream come true quickly turned into a nightmare. He found himself constantly looking over his shoulder, every shadow a potential threat. His home was broken into, ransacked while he was out on patrol. He began receiving anonymous threats, sinister messages left on his car windshield at his doorstep. The cartel wanted their money back, and they were willing to do whatever it took to get it. Detective Maria Alvarez, a no-nonsense investigator with a reputation for tenacity, was assigned to the case. A native of Miami, she had seen her fair share of cartel violence and was determined to get to the bottom of this latest incident. Her investigation led her to Danny, and while she initially believed his story, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it. The pieces didn't quite fit together, and Maria's instincts told her to dig deeper. Maria was relentless, poring over Danny's financials, his recent behavior, the timeline of his discovery. She visited the abandoned boat site, interviewed locals, and combed through hours of surveillance footage. She discovered discrepancies in Danny's report, small details that didn't add up. As she closed in, Danny found himself trapped between a relentless detective and a merciless cartel. He was forced to go on the run, taking his family into hiding. The cartel's enforcers, led by Raul, were hot on his trail. Raul was known for his brutal efficiency, a shadow that moved through the night, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. He had a network of informants and allies throughout Florida, and he used them to track Danny's every move. Danny's world shrank to a series of safe houses and desperate phone calls, each one a gamble with his life. He had underestimated the cartel's reach, their determination. They wanted their money, and they wanted to make an example out of him. The chase became a deadly game of cat and mouse, with Danny's every move scrutinized, every decision a potential last. In the quiet corners of the Florida Keys, Danny tried to make sense of his choices, the betrayal he felt from his own instincts. He knew he had to confront Raul to end the hunt before it consumed his family. Each safe house became a temporary reprieve, each moment with his family a bittersweet reminder of what was at stake. The climax came on a stormy night in a remote, rundown marina in Key Largo. The storm's fury mirrored the chaos in Danny's heart. He had hoped to find refuge there, a final hideout where he could make a stand. But the cartel was already there, waiting. Raul confronted him, a showdown between a desperate man and a remorseless killer. The rain pounded down, a fitting backdrop for the chaos that ensued. Maria, having pieced together the truth, arrived just in time. She had tracked Danny, hoping to bring him in safely to find a resolution that didn't end in bloodshed. But as the bullets flew, it became clear that this would not end without a fight. Danny, fueled by desperation and a fierce desire to protect his family, faced off against Raul in a brutal final confrontation. In the end, it was Maria's intervention that turned the tide. She managed to take down Raul, but not before Danny was gravely injured. As he lay there, bleeding and broken, he confessed to everything. The money, the drugs, the fear that had driven him to this point. Maria listened, her heart heavy with the weight of the revelations. But then came the twist. As Maria comforted Danny in his final moments, Raul, with his last breath, whispered a chilling secret. The money, it's marked. Danny's eyes widened in shock as he realized the truth. The cartel had never intended to recover the money. It was a trap from the beginning, a way to root out corruption within law enforcement, to see who would take the bait. Danny had been a pawn in a much larger game, one that cost him everything. Danny survived his injuries but faced a long road to redemption. He was stripped of his badge, his career in law enforcement over. The money, once a symbol of hope, was now evidence in a case that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Maria continued her work, her resolve hardened by the events she had witnessed. The cartel's influence remained, a shadow over the community, but for now, there was a sense of justice, however fleeting. The story of Danny Reyes became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers of temptation and the far-reaching consequences of a single fateful decision. The mangroves, silent witnesses to the drama, returned to their quiet existence, the echoes of gunfire and the cries of the wounded fading into the Florida night.